It's time for the BAQA. The BAQA. What you said? The BAQA with Mandate. The BAQA with Tiffany. The BAQA. So what is BAQA, Mandy, for the people who've never been here before?
Where you been? Welcome, friends. The BAQA is a very special bonus episode of BA that comes out on Fridays, and we answer your questions because we have a bajillion of them from y'all. You can ask us anything, career, finance related, business related. Just remember that we are not your financial advisors, your investment advisors, anyone that you pay to actually give you advice, which means we're just making up things based on our own intelligence. So I like to say, get your salt shakers out and take it with a huge grain of salt, whatever we say. But there's no getting around it. We are some smart brown women. Okay. So we love this segment. If y'all want to send us your questions, you can go to brownambitionpodcast.com and ask us anything, or you can slide into our DMs on IG. We are at Brown Ambition Podcast, and send us a question there.
This is from Ashley from IG. Hey, Mandy. I was one of your first Mandy moneymakers. Woo woo. We love a stan of Mandy. Thank you so much for all that you've done and taught me. My question today is, how can I protect myself from identity theft? This morning, I woke up to new emails about small business, social security account update, and a purchase of 2 new iPhones. Please help. Ashley, do you have to pay for credit security?
Oh, wow. Something's going on there. Like,
Girl,
they're saying,
yeah,
your social security account has been updated. Purchase of 2 new iPhones. The first thing I do whenever I get those emails is check the email address that it came from. Because for example, I just started to advertise on Facebook a week ago, and I got the most legitimate looking email about my ads account being in violation of their rules, which is like it can happen all the time when you're doing ads. It's really easy to like upset the Facebook gods, and you don't want to do that because then you waste money and time anyway. And I was almost like, I need to click this link and figure out what I've done, but it just something about it, like the formatting. And so I checked the email address, and it was like from an Outlook account, so I think the first thing to secure yourself is to be aware of what phishing attempts look like, which seems so old school, but they still happen, so check that email address. You can also hover over any hyperlinks and see where it's actually trying to direct you to. And if it's not to, a legitimate website, then I would just say, kick it to spam or to junk. That's how I feel about email. But now it's like coming to your text. Do you get phishing text now?
Girl, yes. Talking about this, the IRS. I'm like, girl, so you texting now? Like,
with your lack of funding?
I know. So no, first and foremost, that like whenever I get to Mandy's point, I check the email to see like who's the email address coming from. And then typically I'll call the company directly if that's available to me to call the company directly. But one thing I had to do, so when my late husband was still here, I don't know why, but they used to steal that poor man's identity all the time. Like literally one time they bought a car, and we only knew because they were like based in, I don't know, like upstate New York or someplace far where they were getting tickets from Easy Pass. And so they were
bought a car with Jarrell's name.
Mm-hmm.
And then like got a loan or something.
And then they were getting, they had an Easy Pass account they put in his name and was not paying the ticket. So we were getting Easy Pass tickets. That's how we found out. It was just a mess. I would say at least 3 times when I was with him, and he said it happened before. Like, so I'm assuming that his probably information was on some crazy, like what is like the dark web, and so they're probably just swapping it out. Plus too, Jarrell's an identical twin. His twin's name is Terrell. So you have Terrell Smith, both born on the same day. And so oftentimes they would see each other's things on each other's, credit reports, because that happens too with juniors. Oftentimes that will happen, especially if you're in the same house. So your dad is a senior, you're a junior, but you're both named Robert Smith and you live at the same place. So sometimes you'll see your stuff on each other's credit report, but it happens with twins who have similar names too.
Oh, really? So what would they do then? Would they have to like dispute it or?
Yeah, girl, they wasn't doing none of that. They was like, whatever. I was like, this is why your credit score looked the way.
Look at the way it's bad stuff too.
Like, whatever. So when I came along, I said, babe, we got to do something about this because this is crazy. So we actually, and this is not sponsored or anything like that. They haven't given me any money like as Budgetnista or Brown Ambition. We actually signed up for LifeLock and it stopped it instantly.
Tell me
And
about
so
LifeLock or these. Yeah, because I have never invested in something like that.
I can't remember how much LifeLock costs because now I just like have it automated. I think at the time it was like maybe like $10 a month. Maybe it's a little bit more now, maybe $20 or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we got LifeLock, signed up for it. And, what I like about LifeLock is even for me, I remember once I went to go open up a bank account at like my regular bank, whatever. And the bank was like, we're not able to. And I'm like, why? And then I got a text from LifeLock saying someone's trying to open up a bank account. If that's you, click yes. If that's you, click no. And I was like, oh, that's right. So I had to approve. So I would get a text or emails, and typically it's a text, email, and phone call to say whatever, any new card, any new bank account, any new debt that I'm trying to get into, LifeLock would hit me up and say, is this you? Which, like sometimes when if you forget like me, which I always forget, and I'm like, why can't you open it? I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, like LifeLock, but also too, you can go directly to like Experience, Equifax, TransUnion, and you can actually freeze. I did this with Jarrell after he passed away. My financial advisor, Anjali, said right away, Tiffany, because when people know that someone passed away, they know you're in grief, and they will sometimes attack that person's financial like credit and background and just start using it up. So I went into each of those specific accounts and froze his credit. And you can freeze and unfreeze, but I froze it obviously indefinitely. So no one can open up anything in his name. And I just am not paying attention because it's not me. And so that's something
so
you
smart.
can do too. Mm-hmm.
I did that. Now I'm remembering because I was telling Tiff, I'm like, I think I'm pretty delinquent with my identity, but I did do the credit freeze. This was, I think the Equifax data breach back in like 2016 really spooked me. But there's it's just so many data breaches. They can't even it's not even that big of a news anymore because it just happens all the time. But yeah, credit freezes. And I remember then I started shopping for a mortgage and I was annoyed by it because I'm like, damn it, I got to unfreeze and all that.
Yes.
So now that I'm not shopping for a mortgage, you can thaw it and then it's just
Freeze it
annoying because
again.
you have to like thaw it at the bureaus where your lender is going to request a check, but I think it's totally worth it because why wouldn't you want to have that extra layer of protection? Because like even opening a cell phone, you can't do that if you have a credit freeze.
Nothing. So a credit freeze to me is if you're not getting anything for a while and something like this has happened, you can freeze just to stop any activity. Let's just say your stuff is in a dark web. I'm freezing it for the next 2 months. No one is going to. And then after that, if you don't want the issue, like Mandy said, the thaw and freeze, you can get like a LifeLock or some similar type of company where before anything happens, you get the text or the call, you just have to approve. And so those two things, honestly, since then, Jarrell's identity stopped being stolen. And I never had my identity stolen, but I signed up because I was like, well, we're here now because you could do like a family plan. And so my identity has never been stolen, which is, which